if we could take a quick look at the summary of the match that happened today in terms of England winning it by 17 runs. I'll come to you quickly. There had to be a cracking performance. Surya Kumar Yadav has to be the talk of this particular match, although it was in a losing cause. Pratyay, सबसे पहले मुझे बताइए, as an Indian fan, it's not something that you would have liked to see in terms of the result, but some really good cricket from the batting aspect from both the sides.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, India, of course, lost the game, but these are the kind of games that you end up winning hearts from. I think great. I mean, courage shown by Surya Kumar Yadav. I think I'm not wearing a hat, otherwise I would have put it off for him. I mean, one of the best knocks that you would ever see in the game, not in a losing cause, not in a winning cause, but you've got to feel for him. I mean, when you end up scoring 117 runs, it's not often that you end up on the losing side after scoring those many runs. And what an innings, absolutely. I mean, 14 fours, 6 sixes. Look at that strike rate and the way he dominated. I mean, had it been, I mean, even one batter, if they could have shown some sort of even a semblance of support for him, I think India would have managed to clinch this one, because given the fact that their chasing record is also sensational. This is what the 20th game. I was just having a look at some numbers that the broadcasters were showing. 19 games, 18 victories while chasing. So this is now the second loss that India has had in their last 20 games while chasing. So I think that was pitted in their favor. But I think disappointing performance by the top order, which kind of led to the downfall, because you cannot be chasing something like 215 to 20 odd on the back of a single innings. You need others to chip in as well, which others fail to. So I think you have to feel for Surya Kumar Yadav for playing such a blinder of a knock, but still losing on or ending up on the wrong side of the result.
Right, and what a growth he's definitely had ever since he debuted against England, if I'm not mistaken, in March 2021 was when he was also given that opportunity to be representing India. Ronald Davis says, so number 4 seal for Sky. Well, it seems like, but that's a fair enough point कि top order ने दोबारा perform नहीं किया है. ये तो problem होता जा रहा है for Team India, क्योंकि ultimately I think after that partnership of Surya Kumar Yadav and Shreyas Iyer, what more can you expect from, let's talk about tailenders, Harshal Patel, Avesh Khan and Ravi Bishnoi. There's not much, even in terms of इतना जो हम बात करते हैं about finishing abilities, nor Dinesh Karthik or Jadeja were able to capitalize today. I think, of course, Jadeja did a fantastic job in the previous one, but for Dinesh Karthik to not really step up, even if he would have contributed with the bat for another 10 runs, probably this result would have been something else. Where an absolute disappointing show, I think, by two people, Pant and Jadeja, maybe, we can still kind of say that they have been consistent in the other formats at least. But Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, once again, the bat not doing the talking. It's probably high time to find out, what is the solution to this for Team India. I also see that a particular question coming in saying why many players not playing like this. This is not fair. New player can't survive in the team. Whitewash is necessary for me. Okay, that is a fan in him stating what kind of a result he would have wanted. But maybe attacking way of playing cricket does not suit everybody. But the big question now really arises. आप सब मुझे बताइए, irrespective of whether you're a Rohit fan or a Virat fan, what do you think is really going wrong for them? I think it's high time that the bat gets talking, क्योंकि हम सूर्य कुमार यादव के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. If you're talking about a player who contributed really well with a century in T20I, or a double century in ODI, Rohit Sharma as well. There's been so much talk about Virat, so let's move on and find out कि Indian captain Rohit Sharma के लिए कहाँ क्या चीजें गलत जा रही है. प्रत्यय even IPL उतना खास नहीं रहा उनके लिए. Where do you think he's struggling now?
But I think he needs to get a big knock. I mean, because the caliber that he has, we know what a free-flowing batter he is. And like you said, I mean, IPL was not one of the best outings he had, neither with the bat nor as a captain, because Mumbai Indians went on to lose 8-9 games on the trot, and they were out of contention at the earliest juncture. And I think, again, with the bat as well, I mean, he has been leading very well. I mean, 19 wins on the trot. That's a phenomenal feat to have, that he has managed to do as a captain. But I think what has also not helped his cause is the regular being in and out of the team, because he's not being able to play very consistently in the team. There's one game that he plays, then another probably he misses out due to some injury or due to some other concern. So I think that no matter how senior a player you are, you need game time. You need to play cricket at a consistent basis, at a consistent level, which I think Rohit Sharma has not been able to do. And while we are all very busy kind of, criticizing or probably trying to dig in too deep in the form of Virat Kohli, we are perhaps missing out that Rohit Sharma has not been scoring runs either. And he is now the captain of the side. He is your opener as well. So there's a
Right.
lot that is riding upon him, and India would, of course, need him to fire on all guns if they have to advance to anywhere. I mean, further in the T20 World Cup, which is coming up in Australia. So I think yes, his form is a concern. And speaking of today, I think, I mean, even if you look, 12 balls, 11 runs at the top of the order, when you're chasing something like a 215, when the need of the hour is to you is for you to go aggressive. When you lose three wickets in the power play, it kind of pegs you back in terms of momentum, and that is exactly what has happened. And I think even apart from Surya Kumar Yadav, if you look at that entire batting card, you will not see anyone. I mean, look at that. I mean, how many balls has anyone even managed to play? If you take out Shreyas Iyer, and even there his strike rate is not very impressive. Everyone got in just 5 6 balls, but not being able to hang in there alongside Surya Kumar Yadav. And when the second highest score on the batting card is 28 in a chase of 215, you know that you have lost the match there itself.
Yeah, even if you look at Rohit Sharma's score, that's 11 out of 12. And even for Shreyas Iyer, I mean, of course, he added those 28, got that partnership going. But ultimately, we're talking about the T20 format, right? And it needs to be attacking, it needs to be all out. And it looks like Sky was the only one really fighting, if that's the way, we can put it across. At least if Jadeja and Dinesh could have contributed in, some capacity with a few more runs, like I said earlier on the show, maybe the result would have been different. But we're also spoken about the fact that England will go all guns blazing today. But before we get talking about some fantastic performances by two of their players, let's dive in to see what India's bowling looked like today. Ravi Bishnoi, of course, also having picked up 2 wickets, I believe. Here we have for 30 runs and an economy of 7.50. Other bowlers from Team India who did well. In terms of Harshal Patel, 2 for 35 and a little bit of an expensive economy, 8.80. But like, Pratay also says that in terms of economy, sometimes the T20 format, this is all right. So it really depends on, probably if the result was different, I don't think everybody would have been criticizing every aspect of India. I'll dive into a question before getting into individual performances of Milan and Livingstone that we'll have to talk about. Ronald Davis says, isn't it high time now that India should stick to with the permanent 11 that they're planning for World Cup? No more resting and testing, please. Well, that only the captain and the coach will know what is the ideology behind experimenting. Pratik, when was the last time? Could you tell us? I mean, has there been a time like this before in Indian cricket where so much of testing and resting has happened, or is this the first time that we're seeing so much happening? Of course, there's always been strength, but
In the last couple of years, you will see. I mean, if you remember June, July last year, when India went with a second string squad with Shikhar Dhawan captaining them in Sri Lanka, when the main team was in England for the World Test Championship final, as well as the series which just got recently concluded. At that time was the first time that after a very long gap, you would have perhaps seen two teams being fielded simultaneously, one unit playing a different format in a different part of the world, another playing another format in another part of the world. But as I
right.
said, that the culture that India has, the domestic cricket, the setup that India has, there is so much talent that keeps churning out all the time. I mean, every single IPL season. Like you take name of some Mohsin Khan, or you talk about Ruturaj Gaikwad, or for that matter, Umran Malik. These players were not even in contention, even Venkatesh Iyer, or to an extent Varun Chakravarti for that matter. There are so many players who have suddenly risen the ranks, and now they are making a case, very strong one, for national representation. It becomes difficult because when someone performs the way they did in the IPL, you've got to reward that. So as a selector, as a team management personnel,
Quality
it becomes
coach.
important for you to it becomes important for you to give them the opportunity. Of course, I mean, you can tear down a little bit that Umran Malik was expensive, but then again, if you, I mean, of course, agreeing with Ronald's point, I think it makes sense because you want to find your 11 quickly, but then again, you want to also find what is your best 11, and to know that you will have to test players. So I think that yes, Umran Malik was expensive, for instance, today, but then this was the chance, because not a lot was riding on this game. You lead the series 2-0 already. The series is in your bank. So even if you are losing a game and in that process you are giving someone exposure at the international level, I think it's worth taking a shot. So I think that's exactly what Indian management is right now going to do.
All right, Ronald Davis, you tell us, what do you think with the fact that Pate has, put it across like this? Of course, opportunities are also essential. उमरान मलिक को देखने के लिए पता नहीं कितने लोग मतलब इंतजार कर रहे थे. Earlier on the show also we had Pawan telling us कि it'll be a great opportunity for him. Everybody wants to see him playing, that delivery of seeing that the fastest ball in terms of what we saw even in IPL, which Ferguson kind of took over later. But if you all remember the conversation being, which even Wasim Jaffer did on Crick Tracker's show, not just cricket, and even Nikhil Chopra did speak about it. Maybe if all of you have something to say about this, tell that to me in the comments. That Umran, of course, has pace, but variation is a big challenge here. Pace is one thing, but bringing variations in the game is extremely important. They emphasize that, of course, representing India would give him that opportunity to get better at the game. But is only pace okay? Because like Pratyay pointed out, he was pretty expensive. तो वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Do you think और वक्त की भी तो definitely ज़रूरत है. Meantime, let's talk about England batters, and then we'll come to see if any of you have any comments about Umran, which I will come to in a bit. David Milan, of course, 77 runs out of 39 balls, 6 fours and 5 sixes. Liam Livingstone as well, performing exceptionally well, 42 not out and having hit 4 sixes. ये काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि हमारे जो एक क्रिकेट गेस्ट हमारे प्री शो में थे, उन्होंने बोला कि लियम लिविंगस्टोन विल प्रूव टू बी डेंजरस. वो हमने आईपीएल में भी देखा है. मलान और लिविंगस्टोन का जो ये अटैकिंग वाला जो क्रिकेट है प्रत्येक, इनके लिए जब आप सिंस वी आर टॉकिंग सो मच अबाउट द T20 वर्ल्ड कप फॉर इंडिया, this also means adding someone like a Ben Stokes and a Bairstow, a Malan, a Livingstone. It looks like quite the deadly power pack team that England would have for the T20 World Cup.
No doubt about that. I mean, if you're looking at England in the last 3-4 years, the way they have developed their white ball game, whether you talk about the ODI format or even for that matter T20Is, they have a formidable unit. And I mean, even right now, when there are so many players who are missing out, their first choice players, there are so many who are not available. There's no Jofra Archer, there's no Chris Wokes. So not just the batting, even the bowling department is slightly toned down. Even in the absence of those players, you are seeing that players like Parkinson, players like Gleeson, Timol Mills, all of them are stepping up really well. And again, if you actually look at two countries, perhaps 2 or 3 countries that really have a lot of depth after India, of course, the second name that you're going to take is of England, because every single spot that they have, perhaps not as much competition as India has, but not too far behind. I mean, because there's a lot of competition even for there. I mean, even for the finishers role, there is kind of a fight between Brook and Phil Salt. He has been in some great form as well. So there are players shaping up as well, and I think even for England, these are great opportunities to find their combination. And specifically, what was heartening in today's game, David Malan would be really happy with this performance because he has been often kind of questioned. I mean, not too long ago, he was the number one T20I batter. But one thing that has been constantly talked about him as well is that his strike rate is often not as high as you would expect. Today, he showed great intent, kept continuously, attacked and charged against the bowlers, kept them under the pump, and I think a great partnership as well between him. So I think he would be satisfied. And I mean, his 77 ends up beating Surya Kumar's 117. So I think consolation victory, but England would be happy that at least they were playing for pride and they managed to avoid and evade a clean sweep.
Right, and I think on the other hand, that's a sad way to look at it, right? I mean, someone has scored 117 in a losing cause, but it also talks about what a fine performer Surya Kumar Yadav is. I think it doesn't matter if you're just supporting India. I think as a cricket fan, because the amount of time Surya Kumar Yadav really toiled in domestic cricket and then got that opportunity in international cricket, and he's capitalized on every single opportunity that he's got. So I don't think it's just about Indian fans feeling happy about his contribution. I think in general to look at that, but like Pratyay said, it's a little sad that a 77 went on to do the job, whereas a 117 did not stand a chance. But that's also the beauty of a game like T20 cricket. Reese Topley, another performer who did well today for England, Pratyay. 3 wickets, 22 runs, economy of 5.50. He also got quite the wickets, if I may say so, right? Like the players that he actually got.
Absolutely. Very rightly pointed out, Nivedna, because look at, he dismissed Pant. We know what he is capable of. He's opening. He has been given the license to break free at the top of the order. So getting him early and then also dismissing Rohit Sharma. and later on he returned to break that partnership, which was really looking to, it felt at one moment that perhaps India would end up doing it, and they might do it with, perhaps, you don't know, I mean, a couple of balls to spare, maybe, because the way Surya Kumar Yadav was going. And I mean, of course, this was not the best of innings for Shreyas Iyer, but I still think that those 28 from 23, when looked at in the context of what he was trying to do, he was trying to play the anchor, was doing the perfect job. I mean, that is exactly what was being expected of him, to rotate the
Right.
strike, to hold one end up, and ensure that a wicket does not fall at that end. And that was a job that he was doing perfectly. So I think to break that partnership, and then, one wicket always brings you another. Then Jadeja coming in, falling, and Karthik coming in and falling, and then finally even Surya Kumar Yadav departing. So I think that one wicket of Shreyas Iyer kind of changed and kind of opened the gates for England to
Yeah.
make little more room. So I think, yes, absolutely a deserving performance by him. And 3 wickets, 22 runs, economy wise, any day. I mean, if you are conceding not even run a ball, that is absolutely a golden performance in this format of the game.
Right, and because of that golden performance, he's also won the Player of the Match award. Before we get talking about social tracker, Ronald Davis has said that it's only pace. It reminds me of Sean Tate. He's talking about how what I asked him about. I asked them about Umran Malik. Umran's pace is a great strength with age and exposure. Hope Umran will have more control on his line and length. So I think that has been, the conversation about his line and lengths, his variations. But like I said, with time, right, this is just one of those starting opportunities that he's getting. He'll probably be groomed further. And with the fact that he has Rahul Dravid as Team India's head coach, we can definitely, say confidently that he'll get all the support that he needs to kind of improve his game. Because I think ultimately, imagining Umran having those, fast deliveries in condition like Australia, I think will be a treat for any, cricket fan. Dilip says hi to us. Hi from Rate and me. And talking about what's happening about this match, let's take a quick look at social tracker and find out what people have tweeted over there. Won't be surprised if Wasim Jaffer and Michael Vaughan have made it way back again about some bad job. Pranav having tweeted, Sky probably playing the innings that asked the management to confirm his spot with cement and a rock on top of it. He surely wants to be in that Australia flight. That too in the first row. Fit him in somehow, for God's sake. All right. Kala Dhoni spotted. Rohit Sankar tweeting, no player from a full member country has made more T20I runs at a better strike rate than Surya Kumar Yadav. 4, 6 and out. All right, that is of course summarizing what happened there. Great to catch up with the maestro who looks in fine fettle. Ravi Shastri has tweeted. Always amazing to see Dhoni in any capacity, right? And you don't have to be a Dhoni fan for it. It automatically puts a smile on your face. Before we wrap up, the news being that, like I said, the player of the match is Reese Topley, but the player of the series is Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Butler went on to comment saying, good fun, more like what we're used to seeing with the bat. The wicket didn't have some of the pace we sometimes hear, but it was an incredible knock from Yadav, one of the best hundreds I have seen. Delighted for this, guys. Mo was really keen to bowl the perimeter over, selfless character, and keen to go with him. All right. So Butler, winning captain of the third T20I, praising Surya Kumar Yadav for that contribution. It doesn't matter if you're on the winning or the losing side. You definitely have to congratulate Surya Kumar Yadav for being that star of tonight's show. But before we wrap up, talking about moving on from yet another format to another format. Now we're talking about the ODI series. The Na Bhulega to join us, and we'll move on to the ODIs from the T20Is. It's going to begin on July 12th at 5:30 p.m. IST at the Kensington Oval in London. And this will be yet another brilliant face-off. What can we expect in the 50-over format? काफी time हो चुका है to see, how this is going to pan out, because the last time they clashed, it was in India when England and India did lock horns. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the same ODI in which Shreyas Iyer was also injured, and then things just changed for him after that. So interesting hoga to see once they're clashing in England, how things are going to pan out. Before we wrap up, what do you have to say about the ODI series? What can we expect? The 50-over format brings its own pluses and minuses. And again, Rohit Sharma and Butler locking horns, different from the last time these two teams have locked horns.
Definitely, I think, Devendra, and what we will also be interested to see is that, because it's the longer format, 50 over cricket. I mean, it's somewhere, it's a hybrid of T20 and Test cricket. It gives you ample time. It's not as long as Test cricket, of course, not as challenging as Test cricket, of course, but it's not as short as T20Is either. And that is where you will feel that there's a great opportunity for the players like Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, of course, to get back into the form. Because I think if you look at the Virat Kohli, the player that he is, of course, he's a brilliant test player. There's no doubt about his credentials. They are a great T20I player as well. But I think the format where he has thrived the most, undoubtedly, hands down, it has to be ODI. I mean, averaging nearly close to 60 at one point in time, 43 half century, 43 centuries, over 12,000 runs. The numbers are telling you a story. There's no doubt that, it's that format that he perhaps loves playing the most. And in the last couple of years, due to rest, due to COVID, India has not actually played ODI cricket that much. And even in general context, you would see that ODI cricket has kind of taken a backseat because there have been back-to-back T20 World Cups. Then there is the IPL. Then there is a lot of Test cricket happening because of the World Test Championship. So we haven't been seeing a lot of ODI cricket off late. In the last couple of years, we have even seen so many series where you perhaps have 2 or 3 or 5 T20Is and a couple of Test matches and no ODIs at all. So I think
Yeah,
this is actually a great opportunity for someone like a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma because they
precisely.
like playing against the white ball. And 50 over format, the best part about it is that it gives you enough time. You're not under the pressure because in the last two games, what we saw with Kohli was the way he was dismissed today, hit a brilliant four, then a six, and then followed by that was his dismissal. In the previous game as well, just one ball, and the second ball, he was out playing an attacking stroke. Now he gets the time. He can probably take 20, 25 balls to get set. And who knows that 71st that we all have been waiting for so impatiently might just be around the corner. Three chances. Fingers crossed. Let's hope for the best.
All right, I'm not going to make any comment on that, but one comment that Rohit Sharma has made about Suryakumar Yadav is that everybody's proud of Sky. Sky loves the format, wide range of shots, unorthodox, never lets the tempo get lost. Grown as a player, going from strength to strength. Certain plans we wanted to execute, but those guys put us under pressure through the innings. Partnership in the middle put us on the back foot. On a ground like that, you back yourself, but we came up short. We don't want to be a team that sits on laurels, he adds. All right, now that of course is bye bye to the T20I series. Like I said, we will be talking about everything to do with the ODI series. Don't forget to catch the both of us right here, only on Crick Tracker's special show In the Air. Until we see you next time, good night and take care of yourselves.